A federal judge ordered Donald Trump to stop building his $400 million ballroom at the White House. Trump's response? The ballroom is actually a security installation. It has bulletproof glass, a drone-proof roof, bomb shelters, a hospital, biodefense systems. It is not a ballroom. It is critical presidential security infrastructure. That happens to have very expensive marble finishes and space for King Charles to avoid getting his shoes wet. A judge said stop. Trump said no. And here is why that matters.
Thank you, President Trump. After you said today that the Ron Ward may be getting sued, the stock market closed much higher. Do you have thoughts on that? And also, a judge just ordered you to stop construction of the ballroom. Or are you planning to stop?
Well, we'll appeal that, but it's not. I don't know. It's basically. I mean, I wrote a part of his opinion, but basically he's saying I need congressional approval, and he's so wrong. This is being financed privately. It's a donation that's being given by companies, very rich people, so that for 150 years they've wanted a ballroom here. We're going to have the finest ballroom, I believe, anywhere in the world. And he said we need congressional approval. Well, they don't get congressional approval from the White House. When they do things, they don't, especially when you don't, we didn't ask for any tax money. We have no taxes. This is taxpayer-free. We have no taxpayer putting up 10 cents. And I see right here, I just wrote it out, he said we need congressional approval. Well, we built many things at the White House over the years. They don't get congressional approval when they build in the White House. It's totally separate. And especially when it's a donation. I mean, the ballroom is a donation. It's gotten great reviews. People love it. And presidents for 150 years have wanted this ballroom to be built because when we have President Xi or other presidents or prime ministers coming, we don't have a big room. We have the East Room, which is very small. And he said we need congressional approval. He also said, but this is positive for us, I'm allowed, that meaning we are allowed to continue building as necessary to, let's see, what is that? To cover the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So it says here very carefully, the safety and security have to be protected of the White House grounds. Well, that's what we're doing because everything's bulletproof glass, et cetera, including the ballroom. And then it goes construction and all of the things necessary. It says personal safety of the president and his staff are a part of that. So it talks about that we're allowed to continue building. In other words, he put an order on, and even that he gave 14 days. We don't need it because that's what we're doing. He's allowed to continue building as necessary. And when it talks about the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So just so you know, I wrote some of the thing down. We have a drone-proof roof. And it talks about the president and his staff. Well, we don't have a lot of bulletproof glass. The White House was built a long time ago. This has the highest level of, in fact, they call this grass, the glass.
Let me make sure you understand what just happened. A federal judge appointed through the normal judicial process reviewed the White House ballroom project and issued an order. He said construction must stop because congressional approval is required. Trump's response was not to appeal the order through normal legal channels and wait for a ruling. His response was to immediately announce he is going to keep building anyway, because he found a loophole. The loophole? The judge's order included language saying construction necessary for the safety and security of the White House grounds can continue. So Trump declared the ballroom is a security installation. Bulletproof glass, drone-proof roof, bomb shelters, hospital, biodefense, secure air handling, secure telecommunications. These are real features. And some of them, the bomb shelters, the medical facilities, are genuinely security-related. Fine. But Trump is using those security features to argue that the entire $300 to $400 million project, including the ballroom itself, including the expensive marble finishes, including the space designed so foreign leaders do not have to sit in a tent, is exempt from the court order. That is not a legal argument. That is a magic trick. Attach security language to a luxury construction project and then declare the court has no jurisdiction. And here is what makes this even more alarming. This is a pattern, not a one-time response to one judge's order. Trump has been defying court orders throughout his second term. Federal judges across the country have found that his officials lied to them in court. His DOJ violated immigration court orders more than 50 times in 10 weeks in New Jersey alone. A judge found that ICE likely violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. This is not a president who disagrees with a ruling and appeals it through the proper legal process. This is a president who decides which laws and which court orders apply to him and which ones he can route around. And now he is applying that same logic to a $400 million construction project on the most symbolic piece of real estate in America. The White House, paid for by anonymous donors from rich companies, defying a court order by calling a ballroom a security installation.
It's bulletproof and it's ballistic proof. It's very thick. It's like that. And it's going 45 feet high, and every window is covered, every door is covered. The roof is drone-proof. We have secure air handling systems. You know, bad things happen in the air if you have bad people. We have bio-defense all over. We have secure telecommunications and communications all over. We have bomb shelters that we're building. We have a hospital and very major medical facilities that we're building. We have all of these things. So that's called, I'm allowed to continue building as necessary. So think of that, for the safety of the president. So we have all these things. So on that, we're okay. Where he's totally wrong, and he made, a statement that's fine. But I'll give you an example. You have right here $300 to $400 million, depending on finishes. If I use very expensive marble, if I use very expensive wall coatings, if I could bring it up to 400. Otherwise, we're right now ahead of schedule. We're under budget. But depending on finishes, from $300 to $400 million are being given by great people, people that you all know. Rich people, rich companies, big companies. They wanted to see this built because every president, literally for 150 years, has needed a space like this. Many of you have gone to the tent when we have a president of a big country or somebody being honored of great distinction, and they sit in a tent, and if it rains, you get soaked because the grass gets wet here very fast. It's a wet area. They used to call it a wetland, but I guess they don't do that for the White House, but it's essentially a wetland. And when it rains, you're in trouble. The water can go up to 3 to 4 inches over their shoes. That's not a good feeling for who was Prince Charles, who will be here next couple of weeks, is King Charles, who's a great guy. We don't want him to sit in a pool of water. And they've been wanting this for 150 years, and we're building it, and it's covered perfectly. What's not covered perfectly is the fact that the judge said we need congressional approval. Many things have been built in the White House. They haven't gotten congressional approval, especially when the money is being not put up by the taxpayer. The taxpayer's not putting up a dime. This building was necessary for many years by the fact that I've built many ballrooms, and I built many things, and I know how to build. I'm not building the Federal Reserve where the guy's spending $4 billion for a tiny little building. $4 billion for the Federal Reserve building. That contractor is going to be one of the richest men anywhere in the world after he finishes the Federal Reserve. The man is totally incompetent. Jerome, too late, Powell, is totally incompetent. And he's got to get out of office pretty fast. He's doing a bad job, but he's also done a bad job in shepherding the construction of that building. Do you know they ripped down a part of that building, and it was they say it's one of the nicest buildings in Washington. They ripped it down. So So we feel, and we don't feel, we know that congressional approval is not necessary to put up a ballroom. And many things have been built on the site, they've never gotten congressional approval. And especially when the money is all put up, this is all donations by people that love our country, that love the White House, and that feel it was very necessary. Yeah.
Depending on finishes, $300 to $400 million, depending on how expensive the marble is. That is the security installation Trump is defying a federal court order to build. Bulletproof glass and biodefense systems, and also, depending on finishes, up to $400 million worth of very expensive wall coatings. Now let me talk about the donors. Trump says this is privately funded. Donations from rich people and big companies who love the White House and love America. The White House has provided a partial list of donors. It includes major corporations. Some donors are allowed to remain anonymous. We do not know how much each donor gave. We do not know what, if anything, those donors expect in return. Rich companies donating hundreds of millions of dollars to build a structure on federal property at the personal direction of the President of the United States, the same president who controls federal contracts, federal regulations, federal policy affecting every industry those companies operate in. And the donors can remain anonymous. In any other context, a private citizen accepting hundreds of millions of dollars from anonymous corporate donors while holding the power to affect those corporations' business interests, we would call that a conflict of interest. We would call it corruption. When the president does it, it is a donation. It is taxpayer-free. People love it. And then, completely unprompted, Trump attacked Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the independent central bank that sets interest rates, which Trump has been pressuring to cut rates for months. Trump called Powell incompetent, said he has to get out of office pretty fast, criticized the Federal Reserve building construction. The Federal Reserve is supposed to be independent, specifically designed to be independent, because a president who controls interest rates can manipulate the economy for political purposes, can cut rates before an election to boost markets, can raise them to punish political enemies. The entire architecture of American monetary policy is built around preventing exactly what Trump is suggesting, a president who can tell the Fed chairman he has got to get out of office pretty fast. And Trump said it at a press conference, on camera. Let me give you the full picture of what we just watched. A $400 million ballroom, funded by anonymous corporate donors whose names the public is not entitled to know, built in defiance of a federal court order by declaring a ballroom a security installation, by a president who is simultaneously pressuring the independent Federal Reserve chairman to leave office. This is week 2 of a war. 8 Americans dead. Strait of Hormuz closed. Oil approaching $100 a barrel. And the president is explaining why King Charles should not have to sit in a tent if it rains. Share this video, because people deserve to see the full picture of what is happening in that White House. Subscribe, new video every week. Drop a comment. Do you think Trump will stop building when the legal challenges are resolved, or will he find another loophole? Because based on everything we have seen, the answer is obvious.